Eternal Samurai, home of the Silent Ninja, home of a people that will be second class to no one, nobly throwing the yoke off of our oppressors. We are Japan. Howdy folks, and welcome back to Concilium Watch. I'm Austin, and today we are going over the Japanese Secessionist Army, and to help me with this overview is my buddy Andrew, our local JSA subject matter expert. How are you, Andrew?
I'm doing great, Austin. Thank you. I am Andrew, probably better known as DPA, and I am ready to tell you everything you need to know about the Japanese Secessionist Army.
All right. So you have any big insight? So I've gotten to play with them a little bit, and my take as an Ariadna player is they being so close combat heavy that they play a lot like Caledonia, but they're trading the smoke for 2 wounds and lots more movement.
I would say that JSA are the sort of darling, unique, special army slash faction of Infinity. They are really their own animal, and it is I think too complicated to just boil it down to they're CC heavy, which we will get into as we discuss the units.
All right. Well, speaking of the units, let's just jump right into the units. So we're going to start off with and preface, I'm going to butcher everything, and Andrew will correct me, is the Keisotsu Butai. The Kitsune Butai are your basic line troops for JSA, and looking at the stat line, it is very uninspiring, with 4-4 move, 15 close combat, 10 BS, 10 Fizz, 12 whip, 1 armor, no BTS, and 1 wound, but availability total, and they have courage. So, and 1 Domaru can be a part of the fire team of a core of Keisotsus. So what are the big things about Keisotsus, Andrew?
So Keisotsus, it really is that they are their most important stat is probably wounds 1. They are a warm body on the field. It does not really matter what their stat line is beyond them being there, being in the fight, being in the special covert operation, and kind of occupying a space on your board. The fact that they can bring a whopping 2 types of special heavy gun, or a whopping 3 types of special, along with them is absolute gravy. And the fact that they can be a lieutenant is like super duper icing on the top. So there's really not much to bash or praise about them. They are exactly what they are, the tin. You don't want to be fighting with them when you can avoid it, but they will in a pinch. You don't want to be relying on them necessarily to push the button in, dire straits, but they can in a pinch. They, can't be expected to hack, the anathematic rampaging through your field, but they can try anyways, that kind of thing. You need Keisotsus. They are going to be an important source of regular orders and support for your other more flashy units.
Got you. Well, I noticed their LT unit is half an SWC, which is that's not what you want in your life, in any kind of SWC in your lieutenant option, unless it's carrying a big gun.
You can pay for it. In the context of JSA, that's fine.
JSA, that's fine.
As you'll probably end up seeing later.
Got you. But I do like. I personally, I would like the paramedic. So having in a very limited fashion played with these guys, having the paramedic where Whip 12 isn't great, with other core fire teams that you would have don't really come with a paramedic. So having a paramedic, being able to shoot 2 med kits in a fully linked fire team can be really good.
I think it's kind of one of those things where you get a small edge here or there, whether you can maybe spend an extra order trying to revive another fellow Keisotsu, for example, your missile launcher if they went down, or some other vanguard if your opponent's trying to peel back your layers of defenses. That can be nice. Would I call it really good? Never. But would I spend 4 orders trying to set up that? No. But if I had one and I could just kind of blink and try and do that, absolutely. And then, of course, having it for the odd classified, being able to put, I've got at least 1 photo observer, 1 paramedic, 1 engineer, 1 hacker, et cetera, into your list to cover all your classifieds is good. Again, not great, not anything you rely on, but they are there.
Got you.
Courage is courage. I mean, it will come up at some point. You'll be like, oh, I have courage. This is great. Or the armor one will come up. It's like, oh, I've got a t-shirt. I need a 13 to save the combi rifle instead of a 14. But
I hear you.
Those times are few and far between.
Got you. Well, moving right along, we're gonna do the other Keisotsu. Our character for the Keisotsus is Yuriko Oda. So she's an engineer. He or she?
Yes. She is the JSA's dire foe. Unlike almost any other faction, JSA have their own special dire foe. I guess some of the major, quote unquote factions that have extra sectorials might have one or more dire foes, but to have a NA2 with one is actually pretty cool. She is a Kaizoku Spec Ops. She's double the cost of any Keisotsu, and she has like 4 times the equipment and stats. So
yeah, I can see
sometimes it's a bargain.
Yeah, a deactivator, a gizmo kit, courage, dodge +3, so that's dodging on a 14, dodging +1 inch, engineer, and has mimetism and mind layer. And this is the stat line is a big upgrade from the standard Keisotsus as well. CC 15, that's standard. BS 12 from 10, 11 from 10, whip 13, still arm 1, but 3 BTS and 1 wound.
Yes.
And it looks like, Yuriko Oda FTO, which there are 2 FTO options, can be part of any fire team in this sectorial army. I like having wild cards. So that's
the big thing. We talked briefly about the Keisotsu. All the Keisotsu are they're going to look much better when they are helping other more powerful wild cards to form a complete fire team of 3 or 5, whatever. And Yuriko's definitely one of your standbys here. Mind layer is amazing. Being able to control the battlefield is one of JSA's strongest points, and being able to either put one directly next to your fire team, whether it be defensive or offensive, to protect it from enemies in the first turn, or put one 8 inches of the field and have a specialist with a decent kit along with it is most excellent.
So do you prefer the FTO option, or do you prefer the forward deployment option and have her just stand alone?
I would usually, so there's an interesting point here where if Yuriko isn't a fire team, she can't use a Yao Zhao, a servant bot. So if I'm taking her with a Yao Zhao, for example, to support maybe a couple of remotes or the tag, I might go and use her for deployment and just have her upfield. She's already there for the Rishi or the O-Yoroi to walk up her, or she can keep her Yao Zhao in the backfield and keep them healthy, or have the Yao Zhao on a different kind of flank of the field and do like that. So if she's with Keisotsu for being a big beefy Keisotsu, fire team option. If I'm supporting, forward deployment. Pretty easy like that.
I would almost take the forward deployment anyway, because the dodge +3, taking it from a Fizz 11, making it a dodge 14, that's warband. That's a warband score for a Fizz.
She's double warband price. You really don't want her to be in a situation where she's have to rely on that when she's 23 points and 1 wound. You get a little bit of cheat here and there by being able to, I can mimetism, and the emitter is kind of scary sometimes to walk up on, but it's not as great as all that. You generally want to hide her and not have her take too many fights on the reactive turn. So my thoughts.
Absolutely. I just thought it was interesting to have her up the field. You have a specialist 8 inches up the field, and you have that option. It's BS 12, which is fine. BS 12 is fine, but being able, if that shooting is not the best option, you can always dodge on a 14, which is better.
And you get 3 inches out of it. Yeah. So sometimes you can do that kind of, I have a 5-inch type move. I can't do it with a cautious move. I'll dodge. I'll move 7 inches total. If you're successful, and you're good to go.
Got you. All right. Well, we're going to move on from there and hit our last of the basic line troops, but these are the specialists, the Tokusetsu Butai.
You've nailed it perfectly there.
Oh, look at me. So you got a doctor and an engineer here. They do come with the standard courage, but they look like they're exactly like the Keisotsu, except they have whip 13 instead of 12.
Yep. They are also here to operate Yaozaos and to be kind of independent of a greater core, not tied down to a team. They're mostly here for the. Okay, one thing you might notice is that some of the JSA units don't have cubes, so you don't get the benefit of the command token reroll with your doctor, whereas you always do if you're trying to repair a structure unit with your engineer. And in general, if you don't use Yuriko and you need an engineer, you have to use a Tokusetsu. The availability is limited. They kind of even reduce the ability. You're probably at most taking one of each, or maybe just one, depending if you already have another paramedic elsewhere, you want the extra doctor, or if you need the engineer somewhere. So
got you.
Pretty basic. But hey, they don't have the reputation of killing people like trauma docs. So
yeah,
got that going for them.
Right. They're not a speculo killer in disguise. All right. Well, those are those. So we're going to move on. More light infantry, and we're going to hit the Kempeitai. No, that's not how you say. Oh, I did do that right. Okay.
Oh, Kempeitai, but yes.
Kempeitai.
Close enough.
I like these guys on the surface. They are wild cards, so be part of any fire team in the sectorial army. CC 17, BS 12, Fizz 10, which that's standard for everybody that's not Ariadna, is low Fizz. Whip 14, one armor, no BTS, but you got a Spitfire, a chain of command combi, chain of command boarding shotgun, and a multi-spectral visor level 2 shock marksman rifle, and they all come with pistols, close combat weapons, and paralysis close combat weapons -3. So what is great about the Kempei?
Exactly as you said, they are a wild card. They are an officer, your commissar class. So you can bring two very useful skills to the table, namely chain of command and that equipment MSV2. You don't actually have a lot of MSV2 in the faction, so having one with a nice gun is pretty worthwhile, especially when you can mix and match it with anyone else, and it kind of can overcome the fact that it otherwise does not have any defensive abilities like mimetism or 2 wounds or armor. It is light. You will definitely want to kind of bully lighter targets, but you have nothing better to take on things with combi mimetism -6. Everyone trying to be cheeky and like, oh, I want to put a guy in suppression fire in the midfield. Oh, it's like, well, I've got a random Kempeitai. How do you feel about taking on 5 dice? Right? I have used both of them to good effect. The Spitfire, less so. I think just because it does not give you any particular advantage over your opponent, whereas marksman rifles only burst 4 dice. Someone will call me on that if I don't correct myself. So, but it's still fine. And then meanwhile, if you do take a non-Keisotsu lieutenant, or even if you do take a Keisotsu lieutenant, it is more than worthwhile to have a Kempeitai chain of command sitting either in the midst of a fire team where it can make good use of its own defensive abilities and can offer number 2 to the unit, or sitting off somewhere else where if the opponent wants to go after it, they have to spend a bunch of orders and kill nothing else, and it's tucked away. So can't say enough. You probably want 1 or 2 Kempeitai almost all the time, despite them being just awful people. But that's infinity. A lot of people are awful. It just happens. It's fine.
I especially like the number 2 in a link team, where the link won't break. It can automatically just get shifted to the Kempeitai. And having 6th sense, so if you happen to be going second and you're fearing of somebody dropping into, because now there is a lot of parachutist deployment zones troops, having the 6th sense at the rear of that fire team can be a huge help.
Yep, and for that reason, I would tend to take the boarding shotgun, just because JSA can trade sometimes when they are ahead, and being able to drop down 2 or 3 templates or 2 or 3 +6 shots, or if they're coming at you and they walk around a corner, they think you've gotten your back, they shoot you, you 6 sense back and shoot them with a couple of templates that they can't avoid without giving up their offense to the turn by dodging. That's pretty good. So combi rifle, Spitfire. Hey, there's good models for them,
Good models, but
I think
don't worry.
There might not even be a Spitfire yet, but
so don't worry about them so much. You're looking at the MSV2 and the boarding shotgun chain of command.
Yeah, boy, chain of command is good. You need a lieutenant to coordinate your army. Sometimes you got to give up personal glory.
No, I absolutely agree. Absolutely agree. All right, moving on from the Kempeitai is the Aragoto Senkenbutai Advance Guard Regiment of Nippon.
Yes.
So these are fast bikes. 8.6 movement, 16cc, 12 BS, 11 fizz, 13 whip, 2 armor on a light infantry unit, 1 wound, size 4, as with all bikes. Availability 4, motorcycle, courage, dodge +2 inches, mimetism -3, and because they are on a motorcycle, they are impetuous. What I did find very interesting is I believe this is the only motorcycle in the whole game that does not come with smoke.
You could be correct.
But tell me about the Aragotos. I like them. I don't know why I like them, but I really do.
Because their models are sweet.
Yeah.
They look like anime. Anime is awesome. Yes, Aragotos, again, it's not anything crazy to write home about, but you have a good platform with solid weapon options. Spitfire on a bike is always nice because you can generally find some way to take advantage of that impetuous to get a free 8 inches or more up the board, and then the extra 8 will probably put you in the Spitfire's good range to start plinking away at your opponent's Overwatch or other units on the board. The fact that they have some nice close range options, like kind of like midfield skirmishing, is also very JSA. The combi light shotgun lets them kind of get in, kind of tangle with people if they can get to a good angle. Maybe get them outside of their cover. It gets very fun very quickly. The mobility and the extra board presence of being able to throw an impetuous out there. It's definitely one of those things. It's like, it's a high skill army to play. It's like, yeah, you kind of need to know what to put them against and how to use them to be able to get the most out of them, I would say.
Yeah, you just got to be very good on bikes. You got to be used to working with bikes because that is a bigger base.
You can't. Yeah, you don't want to just jam them forward like you would with Coom Riders or some of the Ariana bikes because you get half as many. So.
Yeah, that's very true. I did like the regular hacker. I actually played today, and she was my Uber hacker, was the Aragoto hacker. And just having a very, very fast specialist to get up the board to try to hack in Mind Wipe is very good.
Yeah, it's perfectly reasonable to not actually send, your Yakuza or there's another term for it that I forget offhand, up first turn. You can really disable them to the last turn. And then at that point, you could say, okay, well, nothing's on the board to oppose me. I'm really going to just go all out, and you can do the full 14. And suddenly, where another late game specialist might only get there in, 5 orders, your Aragoto can get there in like 2.5. So perfectly fine doing that as well.
I enjoyed them immensely. But let's go to the other regular bike that we have, and that is the Kuroshi Rider. Kuroshi Rider,
Yes.
Aragoto Senkenbutai. I'm not even going to try the rest of that.
Rikugun Shoi. Yeah, I don't know what that means, actually. But they are a character.
Character is 8.6 movement because these are fast bikes. 23cc, 12 BS, 13 fizz, 14 whip, 2 armor, 3 BTS, 1 wound, size 4, as with all bikes. Availability 1, because it is a character. Motorcycle, smoke grenade launcher. Thank you for finally giving me smoke on the motorcycle. With martial arts level 1 of courage, dodge, +3 inches. Mimetism -3. Oh, is an FO, so is a built-in specialist and dogged. On surface, love Kuroshi Rider. Tell me why I love them.
I think you love Kuroshi because it is that very flashy cinematic sort of motorcycle where with the extra kind of built-in survivability of dogged, she can survive, a stray chain rifle or failed saving throw or whatever. You can invest your time and orders into her much more confidently that she'll get something done and not just be like, oh, I took a single hit, I died. Boo. It's like, no, keep on going. Keep on slicing people up, throw smoke down, decharge people. I didn't realize she had decharges just now. Decharges on 23s, like hot damn. That's possibly better than a regular close combat weapon against some targets, but it's fine. The ability to FO is definitely a bonus. You can push a button on your way and then keep going and kill people, which is really what she wants to do. She does not really want to end her turn in enemy territory, even if you're suppressing. It's not that reliable. But she can definitely be a thorn in people's sides. You just notice her lieutenant profile with 0 SWC is tempting. She's an okay active lieutenant, getting out there and using the lieutenant order, and you really, really want the chain of command if you want to do that. As a defensive lieutenant, I don't like it at all. No cover, and a big fat base to try and hide. I guess you could dismount, but not that great, to be honest.
Yeah,
there's better options.
That doesn't sound like a good option. So ignore the lieutenant profile. Combi rifle, light shotgun, D charges, breaker pistol, AP plus shot close combat weapon for only 29 points. Unlike other forward observers we've seen, does not come with the flash pulse that we usually see on forward observers.
She has no time for it.
No time for flash pulse. We're just going to forward observe you, shooting on 2 shots on zeros out to 24 inches. But now being able to forward observe, being that fast and being able to forward observe in ARO is really good.
I could see it. I thought of a combat rifle range. Yeah, having a long range ARO can really catch people off guard, I would say.
I would as well. And
I would be remiss if we moved off of this without me mentioning a tactic used by my friend Wilson, aka Master of Melee. I don't think we're going to be talking about them necessarily, but the Lu Duan with Hollow Projector, you'll notice, is S4. He loves to hide a Lu Duan as Kuroshi, thus giving people the false sense that this is their lieutenant and I should go and kill it. And then when they go up to try and kill her, suddenly they get hit by a heavy flamethrower and they're very sad. So,
that's genius, is what that is.
Now that people listen to this video, maybe it will work less. But if they don't go for it, they might just have a Kuroshi Rider in their backfield. Who knows? So I think the effect is still there.
I agree. We're going to get into our last light infantry of JSA, and that is the Ryuken Unit 9.
Oh my god, love him.
Ryuken Unit 9, 4/4 movement, 17 CC, 12 BS, 11 Fizz, 13 Whip, 2 Armor, 3 BTS, 1 Wound, availability 3, with an X Visor, Courage, Mimetism -6, and Mind Layer. My eyes are immediately going to the first profile, Heavy Rocket Launcher with Surprise Attack -3, Camouflage 1 use, Shock Mines, Heavy Pistol, and Close Combat Weapon for 1.5 SWC and 25 points, because there's no negatives on a Heavy Rocket Launcher with an X Visor. There are no negative ranges.
Yes, it's pretty good. Being able to keep your react this turn piece in a marker state means that you don't need to react to the first thing that your opponent throws out, their big heavy duty machine gun, whatever. You can save it, which might cost them an extra order if they have to move and discover or discover and shoot in kind of an awkward way. They probably will know what it is, because there's really only one other option for a marker with mimetism -6. It gives you that ability to... It slows them down even more than it normally would, and then obviously keeping that hard to hit status and not being affected if they try and shoot you from outside of 32 as much as a normal heavy rocket launcher would be is quite effective. They are surprisingly beefy too with their armor BTS. That actually will come in handy. BS, not that great. And then obviously, maybe not obviously, but it is useful to have that extra mine in your deployment zone, maybe on the edge of the board behind you, on the rooftop. Sometimes you get on a rooftop, but it's got that little extra bit outside of your deployment zone. You're like, oh, they're just going to put a superior infiltration model, or they're just going to put a impersonation model there. Put a mine there, whatever. If they dodge it, it's an extra order. Like, whatever, it's fine. So you protect yourself. It's a very self-sufficient sort of unit where you can leave it out there and make your opponent have to deal with it. You can kind of tuck it in a corner and give them a more limited fire lane and come out and make some active turn shots. Or you can honestly kind of leave it totally hidden, keep the mine layer, and then really plan the right time for it to try and get a dominant board position once all of your opponent's heavy hitters are down. It's really up to you.
That sounds good. So are the other two profiles worth taking at all, or is it just going to be a heavy rocket launcher all day?
They're even better. They're even better. Oh yeah, the Ryuken. The other option, kind of the diametrically opposed option, is the one that gets up close and personal. Still makes use of the X-Visor to take the best advantage of the fact that a submachine gun is a great weapon, but it's only good at 8. However, beyond its 16-inch mark, you can still use it at 0 with the X-Visor, which is amazing, given that you are probably giving your opponent a -9 for cover and magnetism. Ryukens are quite effective at what they do, both being able to protect themselves, so they can't be hit on the first turn easily with their own mine. They can lay mines in advance. If you have nothing to do on the first turn or whatever, you can just pop a couple mines out with your Ryuken and mine up the midfield. That's a very common thing that I will do with a small order pool. Kind of your secondary order pool is you have a Ryuken in your big pool, Ryuken in your small pool, put out a couple mines here and there, make life hell for your opponent, and then you can. These actually are the ones that you really want to be doing the suppressive fire, sort of sit there and dare you to come at you sort of thing, because they have a great gun for that, and that full -6 thing. And I mean, they ignore the -3 from suppressive fire. It's so good. Killer Hacker, I think, is worth the points. I could definitely see not doing it if you wanted to save points and or the possible weakness of being hacked yourself, but being able to go into Cyber Mask is money. It is so good. Being able to just roam around the midfield and getting return, tuck in a quarter, and go in that state makes an extra order or two for them to be able to find you and root you out. And it's all these little small edges that let you kind of keep these one-runed units still around the battlefield. So, sorry,
no, you're
ran out of breath there, but
you're doing great.
You see what I'm saying? It really is a unit that can live up to the reputation of the dragon sword that its name kind of evokes there.
Well,
that's what Ryuken means. Yeah.
Yep. Well, I like them. And after listening to you, I need to bring one in every single list that I make, at least one.
Yeah, I mean, they don't synergize with other things. They are soloists. So if you're bringing kind of a loose collective of a bunch of good solo pieces, Ryukens would definitely be in there. They also can support. They can kind of pave the way or add that extra layer of defense for a big stompy either heavy infantry or light infantry fire team, or protect your tag. So I think that 1 is always fine, and 3 can be quite good. They do rack up points very quickly without necessarily directly synergizing. So maybe don't go too overboard, but they're quite nice.
I 100% agree. All right, we're gonna move on and to the big boys of the sectorial is the Domaru Butai. And it seems like this entire sectorial is kind of built around the Domaru just from all the special fire team options. They are heavy infantry. They do have a cube. 6'2 movement, so that good aggressive movement for HI. 24 CC, 12 BS, which is substandard for normal HI. 14 Fizz, 13 Whip, 3 Armor, 3 BTS, and 2 Wounds. Availability 5. They've got Martial Arts level 3, which is really good. Mm-hmm. CC attack shock. BS attack +1 damage, so they're hitting harder than normal. Berserk +3. Love me some Berserk +3. Courage, dodge 2 inches, so these guys will actually move faster if you move and then dodge, getting a full 10 inches instead of 8. They can fire team duo, Harris. They have Frenzy, which is not going to be a big deal unless they are by themselves. Frenzy is not going to take effect if they're in a fire team. Immunity shock. They have stealth. Heavy infantry with stealth is amazing. And fire team core. What are the big standout here? What are the big standouts? It's
got to be the 20-point chain rifle. Having again, now I gotta look at it. The best stat is wounds 2 for 20 points is basically bottom bargain basement that you're going to pay for that. So having all these other extra capabilities to them on top of that is fantastic. The fact that they don't have a good gun to actually do damage at long range, it just means that you have to get them closer. Either to hit them with your sword or hit them with your chain rifle or hit them with those +1 damage EM grenades. Throwing on Fizz 14 is quite spicy, with heavy infantry being a problem to deal with for many of JSA's weapons. You notice we haven't had a single AP type weapon except for the submachine gun so far, and you won't find many more. I guess you have the missile launcher, but it's not a friggin' Keisotsu, so what are you going to go active turn? Yes, you can, and you will have to at some point get into a Keisotsu missile launcher fight, but you really don't want to. You want to engage them on your terms, and EM grenades are a great way to do that. So if you can jam a Domaru deep into the middle of things, and you give them the choice of do you want to take a chain rifle? Do you want to take an EM grenade? Or do you want me to be able to move closer and hit you with my sword? So they're amazing. 6'2" means that you can go quite a long distance in order to kind of throw Domaru out to either throw a chain rifle or throw a grenade out, or go around a quarter and slap somebody. And for 20 points, having that much damage, you'll pay that every time. So above that, you get to actually having some guns. These are ones that you're probably going to want to support your other Domaru kind of troopers with. And kind of get them where they need to go. I haven't used the boarding shotgun or the combi rifle that much, but I imagine they're fine. Again, I think losing the template might be a bit much just due to kind of the warbanding nature that Domaru can get themselves into sometimes. So I'd probably lean towards the boarding shotgun. But really, at that point, you probably want to just go ahead and bite the bullet and pay for that foot observer to get a specialist kind of in the group, so that as you're moving your big stompy murder machines, you're also bringing a specialist along with you, which is very important in Infinity generally. And then you got the top end, you get your Spitfire, either the lieutenant version or the regular version. Man, that lieutenant version is pricey.
It is pricey, but
it is so pricey.
But having a very aggressive lieutenant, it's really not that pricey compared to all of the stuff that you get for him. I don't think that it's that pricey. 37 points is really, it's not that pricey for, yes, it's BS 12 on heavy infantry, which is substandard to most other heavy infantry having 13 BS, but having that aggressive lieutenant and then with, say, your Keisotsus, and then with a chain of command later, it's okay to do that because he can just go and destroy things.
Yeah, I could see it as like you can put it in and number one, I could see it theoretically on its own, being a lieutenant that can occasionally pop out and take some pot shots. Because of that move 6, you're a little better at doing that kind of thing. I think you're paying a lot for that extra lieutenant order compared when a lot of the time you're going to be in a fire team. You don't want to like break your fire team, spend lieutenant orders, and go back in. Like you can do it, but is it worth it? I don't know, man. Like I'm sure it would be fine. There are some NCO options. Option that you can utilize, but I don't think it's to the same level that other factions could do. I think it's flashy, so absolutely try it out. But much more interested in that nice little 21-point chain rifle EM grenade lieutenant that you can tuck inside a defensive Keisotsu fire team, and if they want to try and kill it with just a regular Joe Schmo warband, he's got 2 wounds and great fizz. If they want to kill them with a nicer kind of, Fide type deal, he's got amazing CC and 2 wounds. If they want to try and kill it with speculative fire, he's got fizz and 2 wounds.
Yeah.
Good. Have fun digging that guy out. You are going to die in the process and probably not kill him unless you are a speculo killer. So maybe Al Jabel has something to say to him too. But otherwise, great option for a 0 SWC lieutenant. You're paying twice as many points as the Keisotsu, but getting something that can still synergize with Keisotsu and be much more durable. As far as the special fire teams go, being able to put one in with Karakuri, as we'll talk about, is quite good. Being able to mix Tankos and Daiyokai in is also quite good because, as we're kind of going over, you can see that the profiles of the 3 specific price points don't leave you that many options to fill out a full core fire team with kind of 5 different things that you can do. So some of that can reduce that kind of redundancy in your troops. That being said, having like a couple of Domaru to be the vanguards and being like, we're going to lead the way once we actually, get in there and they can suicide chain rifle, suicide EM grenade. Maybe not even suicide if they make the armor rolls, but just get in there and just sweep through things is quite nice. So yeah, take 2, love them. Take 5, love them still, but feel free to mix it up.
Oh yeah, 100%. 100%. I really like the Domaru, and with all the special fire team options, it really feels like these are like the base. It's not the Keisotsu basic line troop. You really kind of want to. It seems like it really makes you want to build around the Domaru,
and that is why they kind of get the idea. It's like, oh, they're very CC based because they have a amazing CC capability compared to most other HI. I don't think any other HI tend to break the 20s, and very few have martial arts, and having the shock EM weapon on top of that, and having Berserk really seals them as being like, this thing will kill you. So, but here's the thing: you might die, you might take some wounds, you might put yourself in a bad position when doing that. So it's not all about CC. You gotta use your brain a little bit and be like, is it really better to CC than just hit him with 2 trade rifles? Is it really better than CC than to try and EM grade a bunch of guys at once? Those are the questions you've got to ask, and sometimes you've got to. Samurai didn't just use swords. They had bows, they had naginata, they had all kinds of different things. They had guns. That's right, Japanese samurai used firearms. Look it up, Last Samurai nerds. But it's not dishonorable to just be like, oh, you're gonna shoot me, whatever. I'll EM grenade you and 3 of your buddies. So enjoy.
Love it. Let's go to our Domaru character, Takashi Neko Oyama.
Yes, Neko.
Same thing is 6'2 movement, that very aggressive movement, 24 CC, 12 BS, 14 Fizz, 14 Whip, 3 armor, 6 BTS, 2 wounds, have martial arts level 3, CC attack shock, BS attack +1 damage, berserk +3, courage, dodge +2 inches, frenzy, shock immunity, tactical awareness. What is this nonsense? And
yeah, so you would take a regular Domaru Spitfire. They don't care if he dies because you're going to be putting him out and taking gunfights. That's what a Spitfire does. And then Neko can just chill there and be like, yeah, I'll use my lieutenant order eventually. Here's the tactical awareness in the meantime. Much better in my opinion. He's great. Neko just is Domaru plus Ultra. The DA is really the key thing here, just being able to do way more damage. But not much to say. He's great.
Yeah, no, breaker pistol, EM close combat weapon, and DA close combat weapon. So you can pick and choose like what kind of close combat what damage do I really want to do to this guy? And being that it's all CC attack shock as well, so it's EM shock or DA shock.
Mm-hmm.
That's really awesome. And just how you were gushing over the chain rifle, this seems like the perfect model to be the character for the Domaru.
Oh yeah, and he counts as a Domaru, so he fulfills the requirement that one Domaru can be in a Keisotsu, so you can have Neko as your lieutenant tucked away just fine, or you can have Neko. It means that you can make a Domaru fire team with him as the basis, and then add other wild cards on top of that, so you can have a sort of one Domaru fire team of. You could have Neko and Yuriko and the Kempeitai if you wanted to. That's perfectly feasible. Those kind of things are possible. So, Neko good stuff.
Oyama sounds amazing. The next one up is the Daiyokai. I'm not even going to try to say that second word, but the Daiyokai. I like Daiyokai. I use Daiyokai today. He does have a cube. He is hackable because he is heavy infantry. 4/4 movement, so he doesn't have that really aggressive heavy infantry movement that we are seeing now in N4. He's got the regular 4/4 movement. 21 CC, so not as good as the Domaru, but still really good. 13 BS, 14 Fizz, 13 Whip, 5 armor, 3 BTS, 2 wounds, size 5. He is the big boy. With martial arts level 2, BS attack +1 damage, courage, shock immunity, no wound in cap, so 2.5 wounds, really.
Mm-hmm.
Stealth and NCO. See, this is what I was talking about going with the Spitfire from the Domaru, is just to have the NCO, because Daiyokai, especially with this Red Fury, Panzerfaust, pistol, AP plus DA, close combat weapon for 1 SWC and 49 points, I want to bring it. I want to bring it all the time. That's just
sure.
me, though.
If you want to take a death ball, by all means. Yes. So you can see here, this is kind of your heavy weapons man having no defensive skills, just armor and a lot of wounds, and having a kind of not as special anymore, but being able to choose your mode of ammunition on the multi lets you chew through some stronger targets. And the +1 damage kind of can offset the kind of lower damage of a marksman rifle, so it's quite good in that regard. Or you take a Red Fury and call it good for that extra burst. So he's a guy. He's great. He's excellent in terms of you want to have a platform that can take multiple hits and keep on going. So he kind of gets you through kind of some of your ups and downs of your active turn sort of thing. He is a little pricey and a little fat and a little awkward at times, but I think it's perfectly serviceable and should definitely be tried out. You can get a Domaru Spitfire for 15 points cheaper, which could let you bring other things. It's really this is really where that cost benefit, where it's like how many cool, amazing toys do you want to take, and like you can definitely take a big death ball of Daiyokai, Neko, the tactical awareness, the +1 order lieutenant, and that's like 120 points already, and then you add 2 more on there. But then like that thing you've created will have like 8 orders by itself. So yeah, I think that could work out, but it just depends. What are you going to do with the rest of the field? Because that's a very small area that you've concentrated all your stuff on. So
how did you? So if you had to pick one, would you rather have the Red Fury or the Multi-Marksman?
Good question. I think generally,
more options of ammo type with less burst, or
I think probably the multi-marksman, being able to number one, he already has a great reactive turn shot in the Panzerfaust, but it can be interesting at times to have that double action shot in reactive and put him somewhere where he can just kind of be big and chalk, armor and cover, and cover a lane with 2 +1 burst. And some fire team bonuses stacked on with that. It's tough, man. I think you're probably going to end up, if you are building a death ball, running out of SWC. Personal preference, I guess. The model has 2 swords, so you're never going to have to remodel the gun that you're picking. It's just one Daiyokai, one gun, go to town. So
yeah, I like the Daiyokai. I did. I put him in a Harris today with 2 Kempi.
Yeah, that he's definitely big and fat. I wish he had a template weapon to deal with things that get up into his close range. As it is, he is actually a little soft to being approached very close and hit, because the martial arts is fine, but it's like it's not. It's okay. And none of his weapons really do much for close range. So if he had a light shotgun, he'd be absurd. But then he'd be like an Alpha Sid, where he has every gun. So sometimes things need restrictions, and JSA definitely doesn't go too whole hog in like everyone has 4 weapons. You'll notice that as well. Where like everyone generally has 1 and or 2 weapons. So I think that's fine, personally.
All right. So the next thing we're gonna go up is the Karakuri.
Okay.
Karakuri Special Project HI that have structure. So he's a regular unit. He is hackable, 4/4 movement. So again, not with the super aggressive movement. 10 CC, 13 BS, Fizz 10, Whip 13, 3 armor, 6 BTS, but 3 structure.
Yeah.
But 3 structure on a size 2 model. A forward observer, so they're all specialist. They all have remote presence, so 2 levels of unconsciousness, and a gizmo. And to fix them, a gizmo kit, Fizz 12. Karakuri seem very, very scary.
They are. Yeah. No. This is another. This is then compared to even the 48 points. Then suddenly you drop 8 points and you get another full kind of structure wound, and then all of your structure go further because you're never going to be taking on any kind of special ammunition. They are thick. They are remotes. That's why they have such crud CC and physique. The pilot can't really dodge them very effectively or hit things with sticks very effectively. But I guess this is also where I eat crow and eat my words, because Karakuri do have like 4 weapons each. Good lord. Yeah, they have a weapon for every range band. It's great. The extra Panzerfaust shot in there. You're never going to be able to approach them with a great chance of success, given that they are chonk. They can fire back at you at good range bands no matter where you are, and kill you if you get too close to them. And if you do too structure to them, they will laugh and keep on going.
Yeah.
So they're great. I would generally try and take if they are going to be your long range fighter with that nice damage 15 Mark 12, definitely take that and or mix things up. If you're taking another long range fighter, like if you are putting that Domaru into the Harris, you put that Domaru Spitfire in or something like that, you can then take a closer range weapon, mix it up with that multi-rifle, mix it up with that heavy shotgun, and really get some good stuff in there. Combis, fine, but I would try and pay the premium for the multi-rifle for sure. They're great. You can stick Yuriko in there with them, as she is a wild card and keep them topped up on strength. So I think Domaru, Karakuri, and Yuriko is a very popular fire team. It's a Karakuri fire team. You can't stick them in a Domaru fire team. But it is a good thing they're not core because that would be disgusting. But and then they bring their own specialists along with them. And it is one of the more applicable ones on the battlefield itself, which is Fort Observer. So
I totally
love
agree.
to death. They're not soft anyway. I mean, they definitely like being smoked up on. Something like, keeping Overwatch on them with maybe a Kempeitai MSV2 or keeping someone else kind of watching it back, having, moving them up into the zone where a Ryuken has already started to mine up the battlefield, keeps them from being snuck up on by warbands, I think is a normal tactic. And it's one of those ways that you can kind of utilize your troopers together. Even if they're not in the same fire team, they can still, keep each other support on the battlefield. So love Karakuri. Obviously, when you take 3, it's almost half of your force. But it's the wound ratio and the ability to shrug off DA, AP, K1, T2, name it, is excellent.
Yeah, that's the death ball that you really want there. It's like, Karakuri, just go demolish everything. Yes,
they don't ignore visual odds, so that can also sometimes get them in trouble if they're having to spend like a few extra orders, but they would generally, even if they fail a face-to-face roll, they will keep on trucking. So it's quite nice in that regard.
Yeah, and they got the brand new sculpts that just came out. We're going to move on, and we're going to talk the Shikami. The Shikami heavy infantry. He's got a cube, regular, and is hackable. 6'2 movement. Now we're back to the good aggressive movement. 6'2. 23 CC. 12 BS, so substandard BS for heavy infantry. But 14 Fizz, 13 Whip, 3 Armor, 3 BTS, 2 Wounds, and you can bring 2 of these guys. With Martial Arts Level 3, Courage, 4 Deployment, plus 4 inches, Dodge plus 2 inches. They can duo, have shock immunity, mimetism -6. They're all specialists, just standard specialist operative with super jump, climbing plus, and stealth. And these seem just like kind of like the Domaru, just kind of like CC Warband Masters. They got a contender and a flash pulse with an assault pistol and an AP plus double action close combat weapon for 45 points, or you can take the combi rifle and decharges with a regular pistol and an AP plus double action close combat weapon for 48 points. I like the Shikami. I really do. It seems like they seem like a dog warrior to me, but instead of having the total immunity, they got mimetism -6. They're just even harder to hit.
And when that matters, it's good. When it doesn't matter, it's not good. It's like, what if you stapled a samurai to a ninja? Ooh, wouldn't that be good? Yep. It turns out it's okay. These are kind of the only guys that you really want to, in this faction, is kind of be like, I'm going to run up at you and dodge into close combat type thing, where it's like, you're going to totally void your capability to do that and just rely on your mimetism, your 2 wounds, maybe your armor, maybe, depending on how it goes, when you're out of cover, to kind of carry you. Really, it's weird because Shikami are kind of button pushers. It's a weird thing to say, but I think of them as really being something that, again, when the board is clear of all these big nasty threats and all they are like chumps and scrubs, Shikami look pretty good in that, no one's gonna be able to, they can run unimpeded by terrain whatsoever to be wherever they need to be, whether it is like holding a point or getting into a armory or crawling up a building to tag a button that. So, if your friends like maps where the consoles are not always on the ground floor, Shikami are the way to go. They are efficient in that regard. They are not really efficient at like running up to an enemy and killing them because you're doing really not much. I mean, you are moving a specialist, but it's not always going to kind of get you there. So I think Shikami really should. Again, it's going to be a broken record. Pick battles. Bully people that are weak for them, and not overextend themselves to such a degree that they're going to get into trouble. It's kind of cool that you can like maneuver on a rooftop somewhere and open up suppressive with the combi. I said that was a good option with the Ryuken, so it'd be wrong of me to say that it's bad with these guys when they're only, a measly 15 points more. But when they go down, then you really feel it because, like, oh, that was a good 6 of my faction force, taken out and didn't really do much. So you really, really want to make sure they don't get, just hit with templates and overwhelmed or, overwhelmed by 5 dice +3 fire team. You don't want to expose them to that kind of danger. So
yeah,
you really got to treat them more like ninjas than like samurai in that regard.
Got you. I'm just looking at the profiles. I think I'm more prone to want to bring the contender and the flash pulse just to have something to shoot out a little bit farther. And a contender, it is like a AP rifle to me, but a contender is double action. It's got the same ranges as a regular rifle. However, it's double action. And the flash pulse just being able to push out farther. And if you have, you can do the assault pistol. So I like having the assault pistol as well.
Yeah, I think it's fine. I would maybe lean towards the D-charges, both for the ability on certain missions to do T-charge things, which there aren't that many D-charges in JSA. So having them, this is counterbalanced the fact that there's a lot of double action close combat weapons. So they could, if they don't have a D-charge, you can still kill things with structure that can be killed, like destroyable elements, like AC2s, those kind of things. But having extra D-charges, certain classifieds, or to take on big heavy things can be nice, and then that combi can kind of skirmish in a decent range band.
All right, well, we're going to get to our last HI on the list that is not a character, and that is the Tanko Zensenbutai. And these guys are cheap, super cheap. They do have a cube. They are regular, impetuous, and hackable. 6'2 movement, so that very aggressive movement for HI. 23 CC, 13 BS. There's the standard 13 BS. 13 Fizz, 13 Whip, 3 Armor, 3 BTS, and 2 Wounds. Availability 3. They have Martial Arts level 2, so giving a 26 up to your CC and negatively affecting your opponent by 3. They have Courage, Dodge +1 inch, Shock Immunity, Stealth. There we go with the Stealth again on the HI. And Impetuous, which we have already gone over, but I feel like you really don't. Impetuous is not a big a deal because you're going to want to put these guys in a fire team. I like them, and everybody that I've talked to is like, Tankos are amazing. Tankos are amazing. The Tanko missile launcher for 27 points, that is a cheap. They only got that's the only weapon he has. That's the only gun that he has besides a pistol. But for 1.5 SWC and 27 points, that's cheap as chips to put into a Domaru core fire team. Then the 17-point Flamen Spear. Flamen Spear is nothing to sneeze at all. And I've told you I've liked the contenders. Blitzens are basically the EM version of Flamen Spears and Panzerfaust. Then the light shotgun and the submachine gun, they all have and then all of their melee weapons are the same. They have pistol, monofilament close combat weapon, and a shock close combat weapon. I really don't think you could go bad with any of these choices, really.
Yeah, I would tend to agree. Just for pure efficiency there, as I said, it gives you an option to kind of fill in extra portions of your Domaru fire team that you don't want to duplicate, but instead want to bring other options. So instead of bringing yet another train rifle with grenades, you could bring a Blitzen shotgun or a submachine gun that can do some good work up close for you and give you another kind of a face-to-face kind of gun in close range when you're not like at that range. It's like, I can maybe get the ICC, but break him out of hand by 5-man, or I can maybe get here, or like I have to do something else. Or hey, here's the thing about CC. CC sometimes isn't uncommon, and sometimes you're like, oh, I don't want to fight whatever in CC. I'd much rather have a nice option. Or it's like, oh, there's this blue code here with friggin' para -6. I need to find another way to deal with that. But yeah, the missile launcher is quite good in terms of a more reliable missile launcher model to stick out and look at the whole battlefield than a Keisotsu might be. It can be kind of awkward when you then go, it's like, oh, I want this core fire team to go out and do things on the battlefield, but my missile launcher hasn't died yet. So oftentimes what I would always recommend is don't just bring 5 members that can be in a fire team. If you are bringing the missile launcher and using it in arrow, you're probably fine to use it as a active turn piece. It's not super amazing, but it definitely can dislodge opposing thing. It's good against opposing like TR bots because you get hit in bad range, that kind of thing. It's not great for like taking out opposing snipers, for example. Always bring something else that if you need to leave the missile launcher behind and not clumsily like unlimber it and climb down from your building or whatever and give up your good arrow position, then you can do that. That then means that your Tanko is left there impetuous without any cover because he's out of a. But yeah, otherwise, a lot of the time you are going to be using them in a fire team. They can be just on the battlefield as presences, and just having an extra 17 point or 18 point or whatever dude on your sidelines protecting you. I kind of haven't explored it that much, but I have heard of other players kind of use them as warbands, where you get kind of that free movement. They've got other highlights of a warband. They've got good CC. They've got decent guns, like better guns than a lot of warbands will have. They've got template options with a light shotgun, and they can just kind of run around the field and do stuff on their own. So I would not discount that. Obviously, availability 3 means that you can't like spam Tankos, which I think is perfectly good design choice, because some people would probably put 5 all around and it would really suck. But I think it's like an extra option. Like, hey, I want to have an extra. It's so cheap to add that extra. Like, I'm going to throw another Tanko in here instead of you could cut like a Keisotsu, 2 Keisotsu, and throw in a Tanko and whatever, a war core, that kind of thing. Being able to do that to kind of swap and play around with that is pretty sweet in my opinion. So
yeah, no,
they're good.
100% agree. 100% agree. I think Tankos are excellent. And moving right along, we have a tag, and we should talk about it. And that is the O-Yoroi.
Mm-hmm.
O-Yoroi Kidobutai.
Yep.
This is the big old tag. It does have a cube. It's regular and hackable, as all good tag should. 6'4" movement. Good tag movement. 23 CC, 14 BS, 17 Fizz, 13 Whip, 7 Armor, and 6 BTS with 3 structures. Size 7. And you can bring 2 of these boys. They have the ECM guided -6, as all good tags should. Martial Arts level 2. BS attack +1 damage, as all good tags should. Courage, dodge +2 inches. Their dodge is on an 11. That's standard. Shock immunity. Mine layer, now that's new, is the mine layer. But we'll get back to the mine layer. We have tactical awareness, good tag. Stealth on a tag, to me, seems ridiculous. How do you do that?
It's fine.
And Gizmo Kit on a Fizz 11. And you have 2 options. They're both exactly the same. One's just a lieutenant option. Yeah, AP heavy machine gun and a heavy flamethrower with the crazy koalas. Oh, the crazy koalas, how I love and hate thee. And an explosive close combat weapon, 1.5 SWC and 75 points, with the lieutenant being an extra 0.5 SWC. And the pilot has a contender and a flash pulse and is a forward observer. It's not just the specialist operative like you see. It's an actual thing. It is a forward observer with stealth. Everything has stealth in this sectorial.
They're very quiet. Yeah. Well, tell me what you think about the O-Yoroi. Would you be afraid seeing this across the table from you?
It would depend, really. Tags to me are scary in general. Yes, I play Ariadne, so I have dogs, but I've got to get close to get to you. I've got to get that close, and it's a AP heavy machine gun. It's not a multi-heavy machine gun, which is what we usually see on these bigger tags. But an AP heavy machine gun is very, very scary, especially being a damage 16 AP heavy machine gun. The heavy flamethrower. It's the crazy koalas that it's like he's got really good, instead of just having the template weapon that most tags do, just if somebody does get that close, he's got an extra layer of protection with the crazy koalas, and he can start on the battlefield. Hey, I've put a crazy koala out here. Good luck getting to me.
You summed it up. That's what you're paying for. I think it's perfectly fine to support them with a baggage pangolong to recover the one that you had early in the game, especially in kind of that small support pool that can be very effective with JSA. Again, I wouldn't rely on its CC, but it is also another great candidate for punching objectives on the battlefield that are destructible, because you really do not have to worry about running your tag up there and spending a few hours on punches, because kind of when you're done with that, you still have a tag. You can still, kind of like just chill, pull back a little bit, throw a koala, throw up a quick suppress, and it's like, if I didn't kill it in one go, I'll kill it the next time. Or if you need to hold a point, if you need to hold a quadrant, that's really what the tag is for. Being a mostly standalone unit as opposed to a kind of more fragile or more unit that needs a little more synergy to do it. So you're playing, quadrant control, you send your fire team to one quadrant, put the tag in the other one, and you sneak a ninja into the third one. If you're playing, whatever other kind of frontline, that kind of stuff, you do the tag. So it's great. It's your longest range reliable weapon. The other one would be your Keisotsu HMG, which Keisotsu HMG, but the bringing the O-Yoroi is making the statement where it's like, I'm definitely going to make sure the enemy is not going to stick its head out too much, and because it's not doing that, that then lets you run some of these other units without heavy weapons and maneuver them without taking AROs in the battlefield. So it kind of lets you cheapen the rest of your models, or saves you the time and effort of sneaking around quite as much with your Ryukens, your Keisotsu. It's great for like opening the field up for like a random 4-man Keisotsu fire team to move up the field and do stuff like that. Kind of cheap, reliable gun, and you got to try to make the most of it. So
I hear you.
And occasionally fight people. I mean, that is one good thing, where it's like if some random warband comes in to fight your tag and they berserk, the tag is definitely killing that warband in return. So it's not like with a squall or whatever. It's like, I might hit you on a 15. It's like, nope, you're get exploded. Give me 3 or 4 saves.
Oh, that's excellent. That is excellent. But we're going to move away from all the heavy infantry and the tags, and let's get into all of our sneaky stuff. And we're going to start out with the ninjas. So ninjas are skirmishers. They're regular 4/4 movement, 23 CC, 11 BS, so not fantastic, but that's standard for most skirmishers. 12 Fizz, 13 Whip, 1 Armor, no BTS, 1 Ruined, but availability 3. And they've got the normal stuff that you have with most camo units. So they do have the camouflage. They do have the surprise attack 3. They do have mostly they do have the terrain total and the infiltration. But they have mimetism -6 with the hidden deployment, which is very interesting. And the martial arts level 3 and CC attack shock. So I think the ninjas are a pretty penny. They are very expensive for what you get. You get a lot. You absolutely get a lot, but they are expensive, and it seems like to me you would want to bring always want to bring one of the 3 specialists, being the hacker device, the killer hacker, or the forward observer. Me personally, having played with these guys in ISS, I don't deal with the multi-sniper at all, just because BS11 on a multi-sniper is no good. Submachine guns and tac bows, if I'm going to buy those, I'd rather have the specialist. And I see the killer hacker more often than anything else.
I think that's reasonable. For sure, you do want to try and keep them lean and mean, and taking advantage of that infiltration to not have to worry about running your specialist up in a team, and instead just having it already there can be quite effective. And the guns are relevant in as far as they are to be used in a pinch, but otherwise, Killer Hacker has that hidden mode where you can avoid deployable weapons by going into Cybermask state and then kind of walking through their activation zone. They won't trigger on you because they think you're a friendly. I think that's very important to point out. Unlike other mimetism -6 infiltration hidden deploy models, that is a really cool advantage. They pay for that because they don't have a decent gun. They don't have any mines. They don't have yada yada yada. But they can kind of position themselves into different spots. Their weapon is not quite good enough where you're going to feel great about them getting in and kind of giving their lives for 1 CC attack. That's more so for other models. They are much more for, there is something that is lodged in place, possibly in the midfield, possibly, they stuck something with high mimetism or something, and you really don't want to fight it with your, again, kind of limited access to spectral visors or things like that, or big shooty guys. You can always put up a ninja in base with them and fight them and possibly kill them. And if you don't, that's also fine. They are, I think, more of a counter assault type unit because they don't quite get into the enemy deployment zone quite how you would like them to, but they are very good at doing that kind of beta strike where the enemy has taken other time and effort to get close to you. Their fire team might not be set up in an optimal way to check all your corners. You can find that like one little angle where you can start picking them off one by one, or even honestly, sometimes it can be worth it to give your life and just kill the 5th member of a 5-man core team. And you're going to say, I'm going to, you're not going to surprise attack, but I'm going to come out here. This guy has 1 wound. He has no CC appreciability. I'm going to make him take 2 or 3 saves if I crit, with a DA weapon, and maybe peel off that 5th man. And then you can start to engage them with some of your other team members. And that might be worth 26 points or 29 points if you take the killer hacker. But they are, again, to be used very, very carefully in that regard. They cannot take on the world. They cannot kill big models from 5 armor, 2 wounds down to 0 in 1 order. You really got to try and get a good shot with what you do. So,
moving on from the ninja, we've got the Oni Wabun. Oni Wabun is another skirmisher who has a cube and is regular with 4/4 movement. Again, 4/4 movement, 24 CC, 11 BS, 12 Fizz, 14 Whip, 1 armor, no BTS, 1 wound, availability 2. And these are also hidden deployment with mimetism -6, and they have the camouflage, they've got the total terrain, they've got the surprise attack. Let's see, but they got courage, they've got martial arts level 4, which is good. Infiltration +6. They have Usha's special skill, the infiltration +6, and stealth. So Oni Wabun's lieutenant options got a 1 SWC and 38 points with a boarding shotgun, pistol, monofilament close combat weapon, and an EM close combat weapon. And the other 2, the boarding shotgun, just not lieutenant, and the submachine gun with a nano pulsar for 34 points. I want to say Oni Wabun's are really good.
They're okay. they have two potential jobs. They're limited, but they're dice dependent, I guess is the way to put it. Where it's like again, because you have 1 wound for a giant chunk of points, and it's like if you're in a great situation where you can use them multiple times, awesome. But if you're really having to go in and do that 1 shot, 1 kill, you can be at the mercy of your dice. However, that 1 shot can be monofilament, so it can do a lot of work on your biggest, scariest threat facing you. Or if you would prefer to not take the chance of the damage 12 flat, or you die. You say you have a model that doesn't have a lot of armor or a lot of wounds. Throw an EM in there. They still take that armor roll and kill them that way and take advantage of your +3 damage on your martial arts 4. Oni Wabun's have guns theoretically, but it's not their strong point. I think that you really do want to try and set up that nice juicy surprise attack, melee attack against something that is going to give your forces trouble. Something that they're not necessarily going to run the gamut of killing off your entire enemy backfield after putting them into their deployment zone, just because they can't always get at other units, or they might get stopped by a random template or mine or whatever. But if you can find the one thing that you know for a fact is going to give you hell, like an enemy sniper with the aforementioned, if they leave themselves on a building that you can get to from superior infiltration +6. If they have a lieutenant, if they have a dearth of specialists and you have the best one, if they have only 1 big gun and didn't take 2 HMGs, you kill that one. They are very much a scalpel to be wielded directly at the thing that is most important. They don't have to go all the way. They can just kind of chill at the mid part of the field without having to make a die roll, and also be very good. Again, this is a point where if you can predict where your opponent is probably going to want to move and end their turn, and you put your infiltrators around there, and then you can react to that, not react, literally almost never want to reveal yourself from ARO in your hidden deployment, by the way, in my opinion. You can react by spending an order, bring them out of hidden deployment, and coming in and getting the back arc and picking off people one by one, as ninja properly should. So Oni Wabun are much better at doing that kind of damage than a baseline ninja is, but for 10 plus more points. So
yeah, and they're not specialist.
Some machine guns only 34 points though. That's cheap. Yeah. That's not good. They also make a great lieutenant, actually, given that you don't have a whole ton of lieutenant options. Even for the one SWC, having a lieutenant that can infiltrate and be anywhere on the battlefield that is advantageous to not being killed can actually be quite good in missions where you have to hunt down the enemy lieutenant. The fact that they can be in a marker state and be discovered, and then they can be difficult to be shot. And then if they, get try to be hit, they can do a pretty decent dodge on a 14. And then, it's only 12. Interesting. Well, I mean, whatever. By that point, you really don't want them to get scared. You want them like on top of a building, in camo, behind a box, somewhere that they're not going to get into very easily. And then if they do get in the CC, you're an Oni Wabun. I would not do that as like an every game sort of thing, because then you're leaving a large chunk of points in SWC stranded. But for firefight or decapitation, hell yeah, try it out.
Hell yeah.
You'll be raging like, I want to kill people, but like no, just leave him there. He's chilling. It's okay. Breathe, Zen.
Well, let's talk about the character Oni Wabun, Shinobu Kitsune.
Yes.
Who also has a cube with regular order, 4/4 movement, 25 CC.
Plus 1.
Yeah, let's see, 12 BS, 13
+1.
Fizz, 14
plus
whip,
1.
1 armor, 3 BTS, 1 wound, and these are ridiculous with martial arts level 5, and I'm pretty
+1 burst.
I want to stop at the martial arts level 5 right quick, because I'm pretty sure that it's like only like it's this one and maybe one other model that has martial arts level 5 in like the whole game.
We'll talk about them, in fact. Yes, very rare.
Surprise attack, -3. They got the camouflage, courage, hidden deployment, dodge 2 inches, infiltration +6, mimetism -6, stealth, total terrain, but has climbing plus. Also can be a lieutenant option for 44 points. The profiles are exactly alike with a combi rifle, nanopulsar, smoke grenades. Very few smoke grenades, but usually on a bike, but that's nice to see another one with smoke grenades. Pistol and monofilament close combat weapon, 0.5 SWC, 44 points. Just a better Oni Wabun.
It's hard to overstate how much better Shinobu is at executing the plan of killing off one important model is than a normal Oni Wabun. Addition, the being able to smoke out enemies who would otherwise keep her from her goal and being able to climb in a marker state without revealing yourself are both indispensable tools for thwarting the normal ways that people protect their important models, either putting them on a place you have to climb or get past people to, and then the people that you have to get past. So she is the assassin. She has a more reliable CC attack with the extra burst. She only has access to the monofilament and her pistol, neither of which take advantage of the plus damage. If I don't say that, people will be like, but it wastes all this plus damage. It's fine. She's going to crit anyways and make them make a bunch of saves, and it's fine. She crits on a 12. Like, it's good. Excellent. Almost never want to use her combi rifle. Also, they are, again, there for when she is at her wit's end and she needs to make some kind of weird shot. The smoke grenade wouldn't work otherwise. But Shinobu is, again, one that you don't necessarily need to make the roll for. You are more than able to use her in the midfield and use those smoke grenades as a way to support your other troopers. By smoking up a fire lane from the midfield is not something that almost any other infiltrator can do. You can really block off your opponent's plan for defending their areas of their zones because that smoke is coming from such an unexpected place. You can then try and take advantage of it with things like the Rishi or the MSV2 Kempeitai. Just make sure that you don't leave Shinobu like totally hanging out on her own. Maybe make sure she gets back into hiding, gets back into marker state, and not just leave her kind of stranded in the wind. But she is a very important role player, whether you make the role to go beyond the halfway mark or not. And she's not perfect. She's not necessarily as efficient, again, because she doesn't have a big damage 18 or whatever CC weapon like a Domaru or a Oni Wabun can get to. So she can't really cut her way through hordes like butter, but damn, is she a good scalpel.
Yeah, it's
climbing plus, dude.
Climbing plus makes all the difference in the world. All right, moving on from Shinobu Kitsune is...
I'd probably talk about Saito, because he's very similar in that regard.
Yeah, Saito Togan, mercenary ninja.
Mm-hmm.
So 4/4 movement, does have a cube, is regular, 24 CC, 11 BS, 13 Fizz, 13 Whip, 1 armor, and no BTS, very similar to a ninja. With martial arts level 4, surprise attack -3, camouflage, courage, hidden deployment, as we've seen with all of the skirmishers in this game, when the sectorial is with the hidden deployment. Dodge 1 inch, infiltration, mimetism -6, again, stealth, and total terrain. Combi rifle, smoke grenades, pistol, and explosive close combat weapon for 36 points. I've been on the receiving end of a Saito Togan before, and it is not fun at all.
Mm-hmm. So as you might surmise, can be a thorn in the side of the midfield. He can throw out those nice smoke grenades and use them to either set up their own CC attacks or protect your own troops, set up their attacks, let them maneuver around freely, all the while being he's more geared towards killing lighter things with his explosive, forcing those 3 saves at a high damage, but not as good as taking out, say, a tag in one killing blow and then sheathing your sword and go click and it falls apart. Again, you really don't want to be using that combi rifle. Really need it. But he's a beast. And he is cheaper than Shinobu by about 8 points. So feel free to take the discount if you need to. Also, I think no SWC. Yeah, so if you're running low, feel free.
Moving right along, we're going to get to our second to last character is Miyamoto Musashi.
Yes.
Hey, a warband. Finally seeing a warband. Or something that's at least labeled warband.
Former Aristea star.
Former Aristea star with a cube, because Aristea comes normally as irregular, an irregular order. 6/4 movement, 25 close combat, 9 BS. That is very low. But I have a feeling nobody's going to care. 14 Fizz, 15 Whip, 1 armor, 3 BTS, 1 wound. But there's the other one. That is the only other one. So both of the martial arts level 5 guys in all of Infinity are in JSA. Congratulations. Courage, dodge 2 inches, shock immunity, stealth, no wounding cap, and CC attack AP. And now I see why the BS attack is 9. Chain rifles. We're not shooting at anything. It does not matter. We have a flash pulse with a pistol and an explosive close combat weapon. And you have an FTO option here for that it makes Miyamoto regular, and with the Fireteam Harris rule. And Special Fireteam Harris, the Tankos can be a part of Fireteam Harris with Miyamoto Musashi FTO. Ballistic Skill 9
doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter at all. Flash Pulse on a Whip 15. Yeah, absolutely. Now the FTO option seems really dangerous.
Yeah. Well, okay. Yeah. So it's a Musashi Fireteam, but yeah, you can throw, one or more Tankos alongside him to kind of escort him up the field. You can use Musashi to fill out a Tanko Harris without having to use up all 3 of your Tanko availability on that unit. You can run Musashi on his own and just kind of have him be a sort of irregular chap running around, starting in a deployment zone, having 1.9-ish wounds because immune to shock with the no in cap, and then he hits as hard as a missile launcher. AP explosive damage 14 is missile launcher stat lines.
Looks fantastic to me. I play Caledonia, so anything very CC oriented is like, yes.
Sure, but I think that a 45th rifle could hit almost as hard as him with Berserk and cost 1/3 of the points. So
absolutely.
No, while also having an impetuous order and stuff like that, he would definitely be someone who I think is defending the area in your deployment. He is a character which could be useful for certain missions. where characters are useful, and in that regard, you can send him. I honestly think he might be better off. Well, I don't know. A couple Tankos aren't that expensive, but I would keep it cheap. Not try and like outgun people with that, but Tankos and Musashi getting in there and try and claiming some ground could be interesting. So again, I don't think it's an everyday type thing, but if the mission calls for it, and you love the model, and you want to see like how much damage you can do, Musashi is your man in that regard. So
got you.
The moose.
The moose,
as we call him in Aristea.
The moose, Miyamoto Musashi, the moose. All right, well, we only have one model left, and I think it's the model that you say JSA, at least this is the model that comes to mind for me. If somebody says JSA, I automatically think Yojimbo. He has a cube. He is irregular and impetuous. 8-6 movement. There's those fast spikes again. 24 CC, 12 BS, 14 Fizz, 13 Whip, 1 Armor, 3 BTS, 1 Wound. Motorcycles, Smoke Grenade Launcher, as all good bikes should. Martial Arts level 4, Courage, Dodge 2 inches, Crit Immunity, No Wound in Cap, Impetuous, we already went over, and Mind Layer. Coming in with a Contender +1 Burst, a Nanopulsar, Smoke Grenades, on top of having the Smoke Grenade Launcher, good boy, and Crazy Koalas with a pistol and a DA close combat weapon for 18 points, as cheap as chips. Why would you not bring Yojimbo?
He can do a little bit of everything. He doesn't have like that crazy of a skirmishing ability, but he can throw out 2 double action shots or throw out those smoke grenades and get where he needs to go, and support in that way too. He's not like throwing down like a million mines out at the field, but he can start with a crazy koala in the deployment zone and move up 8 inches or 14 and then keep moving and throw out more of them. He's not like he's not a specialist, so he can't do that. So he can't quite do a little bit of everything, but he's as close as you can get and should expect for something that is 18 points with 1.5 wounds, no wounding cap. So he can take a hit, keep on going. He's kind of like a well-rounded role player, we might say, in that again, he's not going to be able to fake on all problems, but there are a few things that you really would be that hesitant to expend him on just because he is such a efficient model for what he brings to the table. Smoke grenades are generally going to be your big option. You can throw in on a much larger number within close range. Don't be afraid to throw that, because throwing out to 16, you're throwing out 11s on your physique. So don't be afraid to use the smoke grenades. But just don't go beyond 16 or fail entirely. But yeah, Yojimbo means bodyguard, and he is your premier bodyguard in that he can both defend you and go out and kill the people who cause you problems in the first place. As we all know, a good offense is the best defense.
Yes, that is my mantra. Good offense is a great defense. But that's JSA. I like JSA as a whole. I feel like a lot of their really expensive pieces, most of their stuff is not really, you said it was expensive. I don't think that they're that expensive. Karakuri are expensive, and let's say the Daiyokai are expensive, and Shikami are expensive, but everything else is very fairly priced, I feel. What gets into the ridiculousness is all of their skirmishers, because they are all hidden deployment, and so that's where the bulk of your points are going to end up going, is going to be in your skirmishers.
They add up very quickly in that regard, yes. I would say that they aren't necessarily individually expensive, but because there are some shortcomings in some of their kind of direct action capabilities, their access to kind of being able to put up a good fight. Not everyone has the basic combi rifle or rifle to be able to kind of do things. So sometimes you need to find a way to make up for the shortcomings of your models. And that's kind of where it can come in. It's like, even if they do have some limits, you have access to some things that can counteract them, but then that can kind of run to points. It's like, yes, you can run it's like you have limited lieutenant options. It can be very obvious what lieutenant is. You need to protect them, and sometimes they're like an active turn lieutenant, which is dangerous because your O-Yoroi or your Domaru is kind of out there, but you bring the chain of command. It's like sometimes it's like your pieces need to get into that 24 range inch band before they can get any good shots, but you can bring a smoke grenade ninja. Or it's like sometimes your models can be vulnerable to being flanked. So you take your Ryuken, that kind of thing. So you really need to think carefully about how you're going to put all the pieces together and not just say, oh, Domaru 20 points, I can jam 5 of them in. It's fine until they have to cross a 10-inch stretch of field and the opponent has a missile launcher and you're like, I don't know what to do about this whatsoever. So the cost effectiveness can be deceiving in that regard, just because you're not always able or want to just take handfuls of the efficiently costed models because they can have diminishing returns, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah. So really, overall, this is a thinking man's army.
I would say, depending on the mission, sometimes you can just do annihilation and make sure that your trades are better than what you're giving up in exchange. But for things that require staying in one place for a while or getting to specific places, sometimes you will run into more trouble. Don't worry about it. You just have to kind of get a little better coordination of your pieces next time.
Well, Andrew, I have enjoyed it. I've enjoyed talking to you. I've enjoyed you teaching me about JSA. Thanks for coming on and teaching us all something.
I'm flattered that I was invited. I definitely did learn all this overnight, and I think JSA is very rewarding. Again, it's not something that can always translate to other factions, but you have a range of amazingly sculpted models, and investing in them is not too bad. And once you do, you'll have a unique kind of force. So someone could say, I'm going to buy all of JSA and learn it and love it. And I hope that someone out there who may have been on the fence can listen to this and be able to be more confident about making that jump if they weren't already. So
absolutely.
Any questions, leave them in the comments, please. I'm sure we'll be able to answer them whenever they come up.
Heck yeah. So guys, if you enjoyed the video, make sure you hit that thumbs up, make sure you hit the bell icon so you know anytime we put out a new overview or a new battle report or anything else. We enjoyed you guys watching and listening. See you guys.